All right, so let's get reaction now from Professor James Ole Kiyiapi, who is a former presidential candidate, to weigh in on this matter. Professor, good evening, and thank you for joining us on Checkpoint tonight. Your reaction to Mr. Nzioka Waita: he says with just 22 cabinet positions, it would be impossible to satisfy all the communities in Kenya. What are your thoughts to his views?
First of all, I would like to comment on Mr. Nzioka's point about that Kenya politics in 2013 is the same as in 2017 and will be the same as 2022 and the years before. I don't think that that is an argument we need to use today in the 21st century Kenya, because that's probably why we are where we are. And I don't think that we have really so much to glory about. There is so much work that needs to be done in this country. Therefore, we cannot say that what we did in the 1960s, then we must continue doing it in 2017 or 2018. But having said that, there are for me three key principles that you must think about when you are trying to build national integration and cohesion. Principle number one: do you have the sense of ownership by Wananchi? If you are in Tana River today, or you are in Mbita, in Luo Nyanza, or you are in Narok, or you are in any corner of Kenya, do you feel that this government is your government? Do you feel the sense of belonging? And I think that is one of the key issues that the current administration need to address. We already know that the country is very divided. It has been divided by politics and granted, but then any administration must take deliberative steps to try and heal the country and make Kenyans feel that, this is my country, even though there is a difference between this opposition leader and this particular party. But overall, the way the government has been constructed, appears fairly fair. And for me, I'm not only talking about cabinet secretaries. I'm talking about principal secretaries. I'm talking about ambassadors. I'm talking about the whole purview, the whole portfolio of senior public positions. So public appointment must inspire the sense of ownership by the public. Number two, it's the same issue about investment. Thank God we have counties now, and to some extent, public money is going everywhere. But at the national level, again, there must be very deliberative efforts to ensure that huge public investments are spread across the nation. And yeah, he gave the example about the Ma people. I think that we already recognize that there is one Ma cabinet secretary. Yeah, it would have been nice to have two, but that is actually not the point. The point is, how many went to Luo Nyanza? How many went to the Giriama people? How many went across the entire... So you really have to sit down as the president of Kenya and look at the entire landscape of Kenya and say, okay, how am I distributing this national cake in terms of senior public appointment to bring about that sense of people feeling that, this is our government. And finally, there's also the issue of participation.
Professor, do you then think,
now,
based
participation...
Okay, sorry, I was going to ask if you think, with the cabinet that we have right now, that all of those considerations have been taken seriously, that everybody feels like they are represented, and also in terms of competence and suitability for the various positions.
So that is actually there are two major considerations. The first consideration is what we have just done. We've just talked about, which is ethnic regional balancing, and that is actually why we put it in the Constitution. It was to force ourselves to worry about that matter. But then the second consideration is making sure that you have the right people in the right places. Now, 21st century development is not the same as, again, 19th century development. You know, there is actually now a much higher need for strategic leadership, even at the ministries. So the people you put in ministries must also be able to inspire ministries and must themselves be able to vision what it is exactly they want to achieve and therefore rally the public service. And in my own experience when I was in government, I discovered that really the biggest asset that Kenya has is a very, very highly skilled public service or civil service. And unless you sort of align it and have proper leaders at the top, then again, you're going to be able to sit on talents, and then you find people demoralized, and then they don't really care what happens. And that is not really where we want to go. Human capital is very critical for any country. Fortunately, Kenya has a huge, considerable amount of human capital across the board, and that must be the case at the national level as well as the county levels, even governors. Governors must not only stick to professionals from their own little enclaves. They must tap at this huge national resource, that is available to us.
Okay.
So I think that it is important to align appointments to competency and capacity to deliver.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Professor James Ole Kiyiapi, stay with us here on Checkpoint as we carry on with